Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to another session of our live web forum. So today we are going to discuss about the moral and ethics in beauty pageant, exploitation of women from the beauty pageant perspective. So let me just describe to you what is beauty, what is the what do you call it, this the sexual attraction from this beauty pageant. So basically, beauty pageant commercialize the sexual exploitation of the participant. It includes a wide range of often linked sexual activities which typically men profit from or buy from women, which objectify and harm women. So a little bit background for of this beauty pageant. It was a contest popularized by the American back in 1920s, right? So if you can look at the slide right now, back in 1920, in US they have like Miss Universe, they have like Miss USA, Miss International, Miss Teen, everything, right? So Malaysia also included. So in Malaysia we already have in most recent year we have Miss Malaysia, we have Miss Plus World, Miss Plus World Malaysia, and then we also have Miss Earth Malaysia, right? So are these beauty pageant contests in Malaysia going to raise some moral and ethical issue? So we are going to talk about this from three main perspectives. So I have here together with me today, we have three panelists. So we are going to talk about three perspectives. The first one, exploitation by the marketers, organizer, or the sponsor, because they are capitalizing on the sexual appeal of the participant. And then the second issue that from this, they are going to normalize the sexual imagery. Yeah, from time to time, right now, this image become like a normal to our society, right? Which is not good. And then from the second part, we're going to talk about the exploitation from the participant themselves, right? Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. However, this beauty contest, it seems like in a way they are setting a standard to call beauty. Then if you look at the moral and ethics, right? Moral always talks about the good and the bad, the right and the wrong. So in this particular situation, is being born with beauty is considered good, and being born with no beauty is considered bad or evil. So those are the things that we are going to talk a little bit more later. And then from the last point, we are going to talk about the exploitation from the society perspective. This beauty pageant has created a situation where it liberalized Muslim women. Probably intentionally or unintentionally, we don't know. However, it has created this confusion. If you can see at the slide right now, this is from 2018. A Malaysian Indonesian-born beautiful Muslim has entered the beauty pageant in New Zealand. And no surprise, she is beautiful and she was at the top 5 of that competition. However, this raises a concern. Is Islam permits Muslim women to enter beauty pageant? So we are going to discuss this later with our panelists. So let me introduce you our first panelist, which is Miss Sharifah Shamimi. She's a woman activist. And then the second participant, we have Miss Fatin Shahira. She is a professor at law. We're going to talk about from the law perspective as well. And then the last one, we have Mr. Mustafa. Mr. Mustafa is a pegawai from the Jabatan Agama Islam. So we're going to talk about from the Islamic perspective as well. So for my first question, I would like to throw my first question to our woman rights activist, Ms. Sharifah Shamimi. So what do you think from a woman rights activist perspective in the topic that we are talking right now, the woman exploitation in beauty pageant contest? So over to you, Ms. Mimi, go ahead.
Thank you, Zaini, and hello everyone. So I'm going to read more regarding the exploitation of women in beauty pageant from the perspective of moral and in terms of how it affects moral and ethical. From three perspectives. The first one is from the organizer's perspective. The second one, the participant perspective, and the third one is from the viewer or public perspective. So the first one, in terms of the organizers, we obviously know that usually these such organizers organize beauty pageants as a tool to earn money. For example, in early February 2019, Godfrey Kiwanda, an Uganda Junior Minister of Tourism, proposed a beauty pageant named Miss Curvy Uganda, with the purpose to publicly showcase sexually attractive Uganda women in order to attract foreign tourists so that they would generate more foreign currency earning. The second one, for example, in terms of exploitation from the organizers, in the case of Miss Earth Beauty Pageant, three contestants revealed that they had been sexually harassed by one of the sponsors, and it was described that in Philippines, beauty pageants has become the hunting grounds for predators, and organizers often fail to provide enough protection in the environment where all the contestants are very exposed to such harassment. In Malaysia, another case that was reported in May 21 was the case of an Unduk Ngadau contestant who was allegedly molested by one of the committee member. It was we can see that the organizers, as the handlers, can easily exploit their situation, as they are the person who responsible to the contestant, and also they are the one who provide them with accommodation during competition. Not to mention also the sexual proposition, social isolation, and also strict controls enforced by these contest organizers. From the moving to our next slide. From the perspective of the participant themselves, this beauty pageant obviously exploit women by concentrating on high-cost beauty, force the participant to change their outward appearance to fit their their stereotype of beauty. Beauty pageant also teach women that their self-worth comes from physical beauty. They encourage contestants to normative beauty standard, fostering destructive perfectionism and also self-criticism. For example, in one bikini contest, a contestant known as Jessima was mocked by the media simply because she weighed 55 kilogram, which we all know that it was a normal weight for a fully grown woman, but she was labeled obese by the media. This beauty pageant also leads to the rising case of depression, eating disorders, and also rising demand of plastic surgery. From the society view, other than being a tool for fake advertisement and also conflict with their parents, beauty pageant also encourage men to misbehave in terms of sexual perspective, as beauty pageant has become a very fertile grounds for sexual predators. Such a situation creates obsession towards beauty pageant, where contestants have to endure an environment where sexual predators roam and where people of authority either enable the harassment or turn a blind eye to it and accept it as a part of their business. For example, regarding the Miss Earth issue, one contestant revealed that certain sponsor got hold of her mobile number without her consent and asked her for sexual favor in order for her to get ahead in the beauty pageant. So as the conclusion, in my personal opinion, I do agree with all the critics motivated by moral and cultural arguments. that beauty pageant is exploiting human, especially female, in order to generate more income, which such act is very disgraceful, and it is an act it is a practice of insulting humanity. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the insight. So, in a very short conclusion, we can see that from even from woman perspective, from woman activist perspective, this beauty pageant raises a lot of moral and ethical issue, right? So, moving on to the next one. Thank you, Miss Mimi, for the insight from the woman activist perspective. Next we want to talk about the beauty pageant from Islamic perspective. Earlier on, I showed you a picture where a Muslim woman with hijab entering the beauty pageant, but that was in New Zealand. How about in Malaysia? Are we allowing our Muslim lady to enter beauty pageant? With that, I would like our guest, Mr. Mustafa from Jakim, to explain it from the Islamic point of view. Go ahead, Mr. Mustafa.
Thank you, moderator Zaini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to panelists, very wise and also wisdom panelists we have here, and also to the audience who watching this forum. Hope you guys get something on this forum. So today's topics are very interesting. We are talking about women exploitation, specifically on the beauty pageant. My earlier panelist, who is from a woman activist, if you can hear the argument and also the reason behind of why the beauty pageant itself exploit a woman, right? But in my side, we will see from the perspective of the Islamic. As what moderator threw a question to me, it's very interesting to say that in the earlier slide that the moderator show how the other country have been showcased that the Muslim also have a right to join the beauty pageant. However, in Malaysia, it is a different take from a Malaysia, whether in a legal perspective or in the society itself. So as you know, just a little brief on the Islamic perspective. Definitely Islam really protected a woman itself. If you can see that during the beauty pageant itself, it's not something cultural that are from is Muslim or Islam. Because why this culture, as explained earlier by a moderator, that it is from a Western. So basically, if you can relate back to the history, to the past, where during the Arab Jahiliyyah, where you can see the exploitation of women, they are more to the beauty and also the way that they mistreat the woman itself. So that's why the Islam came that clean up everything. So if you can see in Islam, definitely Islam doesn't restrain women to participate, whether in the business activity or in the society activity. However, the purpose of this must be not deceive people by the emotional stimulation. So if you can see, Islam really acknowledge a desire of human, especially in the sexuality, whether in a man or in a woman. So to protect women, that's why Islam come out to say that Islam put a legal or something that saying that cover a body part for women, especially face, hand, and feet, showing any part mentioned consider it as a sexual stimulant and those inappropriate for the public presentation. So if you can see this kind of ethical way that Islam put it into the woman, it's not something that you can rely back to the beauty pageant, because beauty pageant itself, you can see the purpose of beauty pageant, the way that they're dressed and everything. In Malaysia itself, it basically is something that are not allowed under the fatwa. If you can see back on the section 34 and 35 of the administration of the Islamic law, Federal Terrorist Act 1993, it prohibits a Muslim woman to participate beauty pageant, and according to section 7 of Sharia criminal offences, it will be provide a penalty of the 3 years jail and also 3,000 fine because of the contempt of the religion of Islam. If you can see the slide presented, I show how is the graph. You can see the gender difference from a religious perspective, and also from it create something that controversial things to the society. So because of the harm that the beauty pageant bring, so it give a very controversy perspective to the society. Hence, to protect woman itself, and also to make sure that the society accept this kind of thing. It is something that unethical, immoral, to say that why, if you can see why people protest, because there are a lot of harm in terms of the beauty pageant itself. Because the beauty pageant itself, if you can see, if you guys know that the way that they are presented, the beauty and everything is not something fair, because every human are different and every human are fair. So must be treated with fair. So because of this, as you know, that the beauty pageant itself, if in the general, is how it exploit a woman. So back to the question of from today's forum, yeah, in Malaysia it is something haram by the fatwa, and also there is a legal that enforced to make sure that there is no Muslim woman to participate into the beauty pageant. I think that's my conclusion. I give it pass to you, the moderator. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa. So there you have it, clear cut. In Malaysia, Muslim woman is prohibited from entering the beauty pageant contest. There's a lot of bad things is going to come out from that beauty pageant. So as you know, moral and ethics, we always talk about the good and the bad and the consequence of the good, whether it's consequence is good or bad consequence. So here we can see a lot of bad consequences going to arise from this beauty pageant contest. So next, I would like to ask my final question to our last participant, panelist, which is Miss Fatin, our law professor. So we already talk about the beauty pageant from the perspective of Roman right. We already talked about from the perspective of Islam. How about the perspective from the legal perspective of the law here in Malaysia? So I pass it over to you, Ms. Fatin, to elaborate more from the legal perspective on this beauty pageant contest. Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you to Mr. Moderator, Mr. Zaini, all panelists, and respectful audience for today's discussion on women exploitation in the beauty pageant perspective. What we can say on beauty pageant competition in legal perspective. We will see in the perspective of personal liberty of an individual itself. Personal liberty can be defined as a liberty of an individual to do his or her will freely except for those restraints imposed by law to safeguard the physical, moral, political, and economic welfare of the others. So, where do we see beauty pageant? Most of us will see beauty pageant as a contest the public thinks are all about human appearance, which belong on the spectrum on feminism. What aspect we should see in feminism point of view? Why do we glamorize women and televise a contest that seems to solely exist to define and reward a woman's physical attribute and pose? We can see that most feminism will highlight that it could be a huge platform for the feminine society to build their confidence in such competition, which crave for excellent public speaking skill and also exceptional personality portray in front of the judges. With contests such as Miss World or Miss Universe, we can say that it unites people with similar interests, sharing ideas with each other and providing a platform where they can finally show their talent and even make a career out of it. Thus, this field does not necessarily require good physical features, but also good intelligence, creative skill, and also innovation. Therefore, according to the Miss Universe organization, beauty pageant empowers women to develop their confidence. They need to achieve their personal best. A confident woman, we can see, has the power to make real change, starting in her local community with the potential to reach a global audience. It encouraged women to get out of her comfort zone, be herself, and continue to define what it means to be confidently beautiful. Other than that, we can see that there is some critics also being discussed regarding the exploitation of women in beauty pageant. Beauty pageants face so much criticism worldwide for the impact they have in society. Critics say that beauty pageants lead to an objectification of women because they are evaluated mainly by their physical appearance. Consequently, their bodies become object of beauty works, which attempting to enhance them through physical effort, such as working out and dieting, using beauty product, or undergoing surgery to become more beautiful. With the influence of beauty pageant, we can see that more young girls may focus more on their outward appearance instead of building life skill and also their career. This change of direction can affect their whole life. Some country we can see had banned beauty pageant as it portrayed the exploitation of women. As mentioned by other panels that beauty pageant bring injustice toward women itself. Other than that, Mr. Mustafa, our panel, had said that Malaysia had prohibited Muslim society in joining beauty pageant. Other example we can see in France, where their Senate has voted to ban beauty pageant for children under 16 in order to protect girls from being sexualized too early. It is aimed at protecting children from danger and being prematurely forced into roles of seduction that harm their development. Anyone who enters their child into such contest would face up to 2 years in prison and also fine 30,000 euros. As we can see in this slide, Argentina also banned beauty pageant in all over the country. In conclusion, some people are big fan of such pageant, whereas some others have boycotted such shows right from the beginning. These contests are not only restricted for adults or female but also encouraging small children and men to come forward and participate. We cannot say whether beauty shows are good or bad because not all will agree on what is good or what is bad. As they are going to stay, it is necessary to reform them in such a way that they do not create insecurities and low self-esteem in young girls. Then beauty shows will turn into harmless and entertaining and may cause some exploitation towards women in all aspects of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatin. So there you have it from the legal perspective. So not only Malaysia, France and Argentina, they are banning the beauty contest. So as a conclusion, before we end our web telecast here, I would just like to wrap up. As what Ms. Fatin mentioned just now, a beauty pageant, especially in this country, is not compatible with our culture, our custom, and also our religion, right? However, because Malaysia is a multicultural country, there are some society in Malaysia which think they have rights to organize and also to enter beauty pageant, right? So I think moving forward, our lawmakers are going to have a little bit. However, they need to see together with our religious or authority to find a solution to this beauty pageant issue. The beauty pageant brought out a lot of issue afterwards. So by that, I would like to wrap up our discussion, and I would like to also all our panelists. Very good insight from all the panel. Thank you very much again. And for the audience, I hope you this session is beneficial to you. Don't forget to join us next week with another interesting topic with another set of panel. So until next week, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good night everyone. Thank you.